Okay, so imagine this. You're asking an AI a question, right? Something confidential, like I don't know, a killer app idea.
Hmm.
But someone's figured out a way to basically listen in, not to like your actual voice, but to how your request is structured, like within the AI.
Yeah, almost like stealing the very prompts you're using, which is pretty unsettling.
Seriously, it's giving me chills. And this is happening with a type of AI that uses mixture of experts, MOE for short. It's like instead of one giant brain, you've got all these specialist teams inside, each handling different tasks.
Right. And the idea is that it makes the AI much faster and more efficient.
But
There's always a but, isn't there? The problem is that this efficiency can create a security flaw, a way for attackers to pry into what others are asking the AI.
okay, so no hacking involved.
It's not really about breaking into the system in the traditional sense. It's more about exploiting the AI's own internal processes.
So, like, how?
Well-
What are they actually doing?
Well, remember those specialist teams. The way the AI decides which team gets a specific part of your request is called expert choice routing, or ECR. And what researchers have found is that they can manipulate this ECR process.
Okay, so ECR is kind of like the traffic cop directing questions to the right department in the AI.
Exactly. And what the attackers are doing is figuring out how to create a traffic jam at a specific department, forcing the AI to reveal information about what's being processed there.
Wow, okay, so they're deliberately trying to slow the AI down, overload it.
In a very specific way, yes. They craft these special requests designed to bog down a particular expert team.
And then by watching how the AI handles this overload.
They can glean information about what someone else might be asking. It's like they're eavesdropping on the AI's decision-making process.
So it's not about breaking encryption or anything like that. They're just manipulating the AI's workflow to get what they want.
That's a good way to put it. It's a much more subtle approach, and it highlights this whole new category of security risks we're just starting to understand.
And it actually works. They can actually steal someone's prompts this way.
Well, the researchers tested this on a model called Mixtral. And get this, they were able to extract almost 100% of the target prompts. And sometimes, they didn't even need the full prompt to start with.
Hold on. So you're saying they could like figure out what someone was asking just by overloading the AI in the right way?
It's a pretty significant finding. And while the attack itself is quite complex and resource-intensive at the moment, the researchers think they can streamline it, make it more efficient.
So this isn't just some theoretical thing. It could actually be a real problem.
Absolutely. Especially as these large language models are being used for more and more sensitive tasks.
Yeah, with everyone using AI for everything these days, it's a little scary to think about.
It raises some really important questions about security and efficiency. Are we sacrificing too much in the name of progress? Are we making these models so fast and powerful that we're overlooking potential vulnerabilities?
It's that classic dilemma, right? Optimization versus security. We want powerful AI, but not at the cost of user privacy.
Exactly. And this whole prompt stealing issue really underscores the need to look at AI security from a broader perspective. We can't just analyze individual components. We need to understand how everything interacts to get the full picture.
Otherwise, we could be creating vulnerabilities without even realizing it. So we've established that this attack is possible, even potentially effective. But how does it actually work, step by step?
Well, it involves four main stages. First, the attacker has to make a guess about what the victim might be asking the AI.
So they need at least some basic information, like the topic or a few keywords.
Right. Maybe they know the victim is working on a certain kind of project, or they've observed some of their previous interactions with the AI. From there, they move on to step two, building the trap, so to speak.
Which is where those specialized requests come in, the ones designed to overload a specific expert team.
That's right. They're carefully crafting these requests to create a bottleneck in the AI's processing, specifically targeting the team they believe is handling the victim's query.
So like setting a trap and hoping the victim walks right into it.
You could say that.
Mm-hmm.
And then comes step three, deploying the trap. They send these crafted requests to the AI, but they do it twice, changing the order a bit each time.
Why the double submission with the change in order?
It's all about creating a tiny shift in the AI's response. Remember those traffic jams? By changing the order of the requests, the attacker can see if their guess about the victim's query was right.
So if the victim's request is already clogging up the targeted team.
The second set of requests will run into a different level of congestion. And that will be reflected in how the AI responds, either the timing or even the output it produces.
Yeah, so it's like looking for a subtle clue, a signal that their trap actually worked.
Exactly. It's like studying ripples in a pond. Even small disturbances can reveal a lot about what's happening underneath.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. So they guess, they build a trap, they spring it twice, slightly differently, and then...
They analyze. They carefully examine the AI's responses to those two sets of requests, looking for the little inconsistencies that might confirm their guess about the victim's prompt.
Wow. So this whole attack hinges on being able to read those tiny hidden clues within the AI's responses.
It does. It's a very nuanced form of attack, and it requires a pretty deep understanding of how these models work.
This is honestly blowing my mind, but before we go any further, can we get a bit more concrete about what these trap requests actually look like? How are they constructed?
Sure. Let's say, for example, the victim is asking the AI to translate a simple phrase, something like, "Hello, world," into Spanish. And the attacker thinks they know this is what's happening.
Oh, okay, so they're going to target the part of the AI that deals with translation.
Exactly. They might craft a bunch of requests that overload that team, maybe by submitting hundreds of complex sentences all at once.
Flooding the translation department with busy work.
You got it. And within those requests, they might sneak in something very similar to the suspected prompt, like, "Hello, beautiful world."
So if the victim's prompt is already in there being processed...
The AI might react differently to that "Hello, beautiful world" request, and the attacker can use that to confirm their suspicions.
The level of detail is insane. But, what are the real-world implications of all this? What kind of damage could someone do with a stolen prompt?
It goes way beyond just business secrets or confidential information. Think about sensitive medical data or legal strategies if someone gets access to those prompts.
Yeah, the potential for harm is huge. They could figure out your health conditions, legal vulnerabilities, even your personal beliefs, maybe your political leanings.
And it's only going to get more serious as we use AI for more and more aspects of our lives. Think about financial transactions, social interactions, maybe even personal relationships being handled by AI.
It's like a nightmare scenario, someone quietly building up a complete profile of your life just by stealing your AI prompts.
It's a chilling thought. And this research is really a wake-up call. We have to start thinking critically about the security implications of these new technologies.
So what can we do about it? Are we just stuck waiting for someone to steal our stuff?
No, not at all. There are definitely things you can do to reduce your risk. First off, be careful about what you put into those prompts in the first place. If it's really sensitive, maybe AI isn't the right tool.
Like, don't ask an AI to analyze your secret cookie recipe.
Exactly. Sometimes the best security is just using your own brain. But beyond that, look for AI services that prioritize privacy. They might be using some of the techniques we talked about, like differential privacy, to add extra layers of protection.
So it's not just about being careful ourselves, but also choosing our tools wisely.
Right, and don't be shy about asking questions. If a service can't give you a straight answer about their security, that's a red flag.
Good point. This whole thing has really made me realize how important it is to be aware of these issues. It's not just about the cool things AI can do, but understanding the risks, too.
It's about being informed. AI is powerful, sure, but it's a tool. And like any tool, it can be misused.
So we've been talking about these attacks, these vulnerabilities. What if the AI could, fight back?
Now that's interesting. What if AI systems could learn to detect these prompt-stealing attacks? Maybe even defend against them?
You mean the AI could tell that someone's trying to mess with it, overload those expert teams we were talking about, and then, I don't know, protect the user's info?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's definitely something researchers are looking into. I mean, we already have AI systems that can detect and respond to certain types of threats.
So maybe the future of AI security is, more AI. Kind of wild to think about, right? Could we have these super powerful AI systems that are also super secure?
It's a big question, really fundamental one. Can we have both? Power and safety, so to speak.
Okay, but back to the real world for a second. We've talked about the what and the how, but for the average person, what can they actually do? Are we just sitting ducks here?
Not at all. There are definitely steps you can take. The first thing is to be really mindful of what you're feeding into these AI systems. If it's truly sensitive information, maybe AI isn't the right tool.
So, don't ask an AI to analyze your super secret plans for world domination.
Right. Sometimes the best security is just using your own judgment.
Yeah.
But beyond that, you want to look for AI services that put a premium on privacy. They might be using some of those techniques we discussed, like differential privacy. That helps add those extra layers of protection.
So it's not just about being careful ourselves, but also choosing our tools, the services we use, carefully.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask those tough questions. If a company is vague about their security practices, that's a major red flag.
That's great advice. This whole conversation has really opened my eyes to how important user awareness is in this whole AI landscape. It's not just about the cool stuff, but understanding the risks, too.
It really is. It's like anything else. You got to be informed. AI can be incredibly powerful, but like any tool, it can be misused.
Okay, so we talked about making AI more secure, like from the ground up, right? By design. Are there other ways to protect against these prompt stealing attacks?
Yeah, there's another interesting idea called adversarial training. Basically, you train the AI to recognize and resist attacks by exposing it to, well, simulated attacks during the training process.
So it's like training the AI with a sparring partner, letting it practice defending itself.
Exactly. You throw all sorts of attack patterns at it so it can learn to spot the signs of manipulation and, develop its own countermeasures.
That's so cool. It's like building an immune system for the AI, making it stronger.
It's a really apt analogy.
Right.
And as those attacks get more sophisticated, we need to be developing equally sophisticated defenses.
It's like an arms race, but in the world of AI, constantly evolving, adapting.
You got it. And remember, this isn't just about protecting individuals. It's about the security of the entire AI ecosystem. If people lose trust in AI, that's a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody trusts AI, who's going to use it? Innovation would just grind to a halt.
Exactly. We need that balance, right? Pushing the boundaries of what AI can do, but making sure it doesn't come at the expense of security and, ethical considerations.
We've been focused on stopping prompt stealing, but what if an attack does succeed? What then? Is there anything we can do to limit the damage?
That's a great question, and it's an area where more research is definitely needed. One idea is to focus on making stolen prompts less useful.
But how do you do that? Once the prompt is out there, isn't it like game over?
Not necessarily. Remember, the prompt is just the starting point. The real value is in how the AI processes that prompt, the output it generates. So what if we made that output less meaningful to the attacker?
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
Let's say you're asking the AI to analyze some sensitive financial data. Instead of just spitting out the raw results, the AI could be trained to, obfuscate the output.
So even if someone steals the prompt, the results they get wouldn't make sense without the right key to decode them.
Exactly. Like having a lock on a treasure chest, even if someone steals the map.
That's smart. It wouldn't stop the theft, but it would make the stolen goods a lot less valuable.
Right. It's one way to think about damage control in the context of AI security.
So it's not just about building walls, it's about having a plan for when those walls are breached.
That's a great way to put it. Security is multi-layered. We need to be thinking about prevention, detection, and mitigation.
I love that. This has been such an eye-opening conversation. It's made me realize that AI security is so much more than just stopping hackers, the stereotypical guys in hoodies. It's about understanding how these systems work and protecting them from a whole new breed of threats.
It really is. And it's exciting, right? We're on the frontier of something big here.
Totally. But also a little scary, to be honest.
It's both, for sure. But AI has so much potential, and it's up to us to make sure that potential is used for good.
Speaking of good, one thing that's been on my mind is the ethical side of all this. We're talking about systems that could make decisions that affect people's lives, their privacy, their safety. How do we make sure AI is used ethically?
That's a huge question, a really crucial one. It's not just about building systems that are technically sound. It's about making sure they're used in a way that respects people,
Yeah.
that promotes fairness, avoids unintended consequences.
It's the human element, right? The values that guide how we develop and use these technologies.
Absolutely. We can't just leave this to the engineers. We need ethicists, social scientists, policymakers, everyone at the table.
Because ultimately, AI is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used in different ways. It's our responsibility to make sure it's used for good.
Well said. And that brings us back to that idea we touched on earlier. Can we design AI systems that can not only do amazing things, but also protect themselves, protect their users?
It's like, can we create AI that's both powerful and responsible?
Exactly. It's a question that's going to keep researchers busy for a long time.
I bet. And the answer, I have a feeling, won't be simple.
No, it won't. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. The stakes are high, but the potential rewards are enormous.
We've talked about the downsides, the risks, but it's important to remember that AI isn't inherently good or bad. It's what we make it.
It's like fire, right? It can warm your house or burn it down. It all depends on how we use it.
I like that analogy. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the world of AI prompt stealing. It's been quite a journey.
It has. It's a fascinating topic and one that I think we'll be hearing a lot more about in the coming years.
I think you're right. Thanks for joining us. It's been great having you here.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about AI.
And to you, dear listener, thanks for tuning in. We hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Remember, the more we understand about these technologies, the better prepared we'll be to navigate the future.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep those brains buzzing. So we've talked about a lot, haven't we? Like the whole mechanics of these attacks, the impact on security and privacy. But I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about AI learning to defend itself.
It is kind of a mind-blowing concept when you think about it.
Right, yeah.
An AI system that can not only process information and do all those complex tasks, but also, protect itself.
Like an immune system, but for AI. Constantly learning and adapting to new threats. But how do you even start building something like that?
Well, maybe we could learn from nature. I mean, think about the human immune system. It doesn't need to know every single virus or bacteria in advance.
Right. It just figures out what's not supposed to be there.
Exactly. It has this general ability to detect and respond to anomalies. So instead of trying to predict every possible attack, maybe we could train AI to recognize patterns of, malicious behavior.
So it could learn to spot those subtle changes, those little things that might signal an attack is happening.
Right. Like if someone tries to overload a specific expert team, the AI could recognize that as unusual activity and take steps to protect itself.
Wow. So it could reroute traffic or isolate the affected team or even send an alert to a human operator.
Exactly. It's like giving the AI a sense of self-preservation, an instinct to protect its own integrity.
And as these AI systems get even smarter, maybe they could even come up with their own defenses, things we haven't even thought of.
It's a possibility, and it really shows how much we still don't know about the full potential of AI. We keep discovering new things, new capabilities, but also new challenges.
It kind of makes you think, doesn't it? We're talking about AI that can think for itself, that can learn and adapt in ways we can't even fully predict.
It's a powerful concept, and it raises a lot of important questions. Like, can we create AI that's not just powerful, but also secure and trustworthy? Mm-hmm. Can we control something that's constantly learning and evolving?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And I think the answer lies in approaching AI development with a lot of humility and a strong sense of responsibility. We can't just focus on what AI can do. We also have to think about the potential consequences.
It's about finding that balance, pushing the boundaries, while also protecting the things that matter most.
And recognizing that AI isn't just about technology. It's about people. It's about shaping the future we want to live in.
That's a great way to put it. Well, this has been an incredible conversation. Thanks for sharing your expertise with us. It's been really insightful.
It's been my pleasure. Always happy to talk about AI. It's such a fascinating field.
And to you, dear listener, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you a lot to think about.
Absolutely. The more we understand about AI, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the future.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those tough questions, and keep those brains buzzing.